I'm not saying you need to like hit on every person. I'm actually, it's the opposite. Like sitting with a book is the opposite of me hitting on someone.
Yeah.
Opening the door, just doing things a little more intentionally with no means to an end could create the opportunity to meet someone you normally wouldn't even pay attention to.
Welcome to Table 6. Today, we're diving into the topic of dating and relationships in Toronto, the challenges, the truth about dating apps, and how to actually meet someone, and why some are choosing to embrace their single by choice era. We're joined today by Jen Kirsch, a dating and relationship journalist, radio host, and pop culture insider here in Toronto. You can catch her Friday nights at 9 o'clock on NewsTalk 1010's Date Night with Jen. From situationships to dating itineraries and how to be more intentional with dating, we'll cover it all. So pull up a chair, and we hope this one leaves you inspired. Welcome to Table 6, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
Jen, so happy to be here. I think we're all excited to talk about this.
I know.
I have one burning question that's like a really big question that I hear from my friends, I have for myself. Being in a big city like Toronto, the question is, why are there no guys in the city? Like, what is that?
Oh my God. I hear this in every city. It is so common. I think that there are guys everywhere, but we like to blame the city for the fault and the flaws. And we are so quick to write off people or share the stories of guys or people that we've met that are kind of the fails. You know, there's this huge thing that we lean into these days with social media called doing it for the plot. So this idea, like, if the date sucks, well, at least I got a good story out of it. And then we share those stories over and over and over, and people hear them through other people, and then they turn. And I think that it kind of takes away from some of the amazing people that are in the city that are maybe going unnoticed. So I think we could all collectively do a little better and not blame cities because they're going to have the same problem wherever you go. But it comes down to perhaps your intention and how present you want to be to dating. But everywhere you go, there's going to be people that suck and there's going to be people that are amazing. And I like to believe, you know, I've got that same Pisces and the same Gemini. We were talking about that I'm like Gemini sun and Pisces moon. And, you know, I have that wistful hopefulness that we're meant to find our person at the right time. And the rest is just preparing us.
Right.
So don't be so hard on the people in Toronto, and don't be so hard on yourself that just because you haven't found someone by a certain date or time or age, that you're doing something wrong. It's all part of the process, babe.
I love that. I think that I'm a hopeless romantic, and yet I feel like being in the city, there's something about the grass always being greener because there's so many options. And I feel like I would be better off if I was in a small town where I would just say, okay, this is my choice and move forward. And I've seen so many of my friends who come from small towns find their partners super early. So in life. So I wonder if, being in a big city just sort of creates this sort of higher standard or bar around going about dating. You know?
I don't think it creates a higher standard or bar. I think that in this year in particular, and as each year goes on, we are inundated with so much choice. There's so much option. So many people are scared or hesitant to settle down with one person because they don't want to miss out on what if there's someone better. And I mean, you know, in a small town, there is less option, but there's also way more gossip. Everyone knows one another. And so you're sort of like, okay, I made this decision. I met them in high school. I'm going to stick with it. Whereas here you could go, you know, to one end of Toronto and go on a date, and then 2 hours later go to another area and be on another date, and no one would even potentially know. So there's just more choice in general. And, you know, with dating apps on top of being in a big city, it expands that network even further.
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because then you still have a scarcity mindset. You know, we keep blaming it on, oh, there's no guys in Toronto, but then there are so many more people that you just have to kind of still put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's hard and it's not easy and it's not fun. Nobody wants to feel rejected. No one wants to feel like they're fighting for something. Like, look, we work, we do our workouts. These days we have to drink a certain amount of water and get a certain number of steps in, and we have all our checklists of things we need to do to feel great in our skin already. So then to find someone else and put this pressure on, it can be a lot, and then you want to make sure you're doing it right. So I understand the mindset, but I think that because there's so much potential, we're writing off opportunities that are possibly right in front of us, right, in the cafe we go to every single morning to get our same order. We're not like we're looking at our phones or we have our AirPods in or we're listening to a playlist as opposed to being really present in these moments. So we're part to blame, but we're not looking up and we're not being intentional about it. And so we're just missing out.
Yeah, I think just even thinking about the apps, all the mini apps that are on the phone. I got rid of all my apps last year, but it was as if I gamified my dating apps. I would wake up in the morning and I would swipe and I'd get to 10 matches and then I know I can go about my day. And then I do that before bed.
That's your
and
quota,
I end up with all
Dana?
these. Yeah, it's just I had these quotas and I was like a fun game to play. And then I would get to, I racked up all these matches, but it never went anywhere. And yet I'm moving through the city and I don't think to look in the coffee shop or the activities that I'm doing or when I'm out with friends to even like try to connect with people in that regard.
Right. It's so autopilot. We are so autopilot. I'm guilty of this too, that we don't even think to. I mean, I always have a book in my bag and, I like to sit down with a book, and it's so interesting because when I've decided I don't want to be dating, I want to be single by choice, and I go out alone and sit and open up a book, it is remarkable how many people have talked to me. And this isn't just recently. I mean, it's so common. What are you reading? Oh, I've read that. Or is that any good? It is a conversation opener.
Yeah.
And I just have my head in the books, like Belle and Beauty and the Beast. Like, that was like, I don't know why that just came to me, but like, and it's so interesting. It creates conversation because, I could be listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
I like to have that tactile feel. I like to
same.
be out. I like to sit in a different environment. Sure, I could read at home, but there's something about getting out of the house. And we know data shows that the number one thing that leads to a relationship is proximity. That's the same in our romantic relationship as it is with friendships. So when you're a kid and you're going to school every day, you're seeing the same people. You have your classmates, or you're going to dance or karate, you have the same classmates. Those are the people that become your friends.
Right.
So if you're picking up, if you're going to Forget Me Not and grabbing, your tea or Forno Cultura or something, and you're picking up your latte or your espresso or whatever the case is, and you're going in and out, these people you're seeing every day.
Yeah.
Why not hold the door open for someone as they're walking in? I'm not saying you need to like hit on every person. I'm actually, it's the opposite. Like sitting with a book is the opposite of me hitting on someone.
Yeah.
Opening the door, just doing things a little more intentionally with no means to an end.
Yeah.
Could create the opportunity to meet someone you normally wouldn't even pay attention to.
Yeah.
So just keeping our eyes open.
Yeah, for sure.
And not doing it for yourself, because we all hear the better we feel, the more giving or happy we are to other people. And so if you're opening the door for someone else, you're just being a more pleasant person.
Yeah.
That makes you feel good. You're going to put that energy out. And I'm not saying opening the door for someone leads to something, but it's just taking a beat.
Yeah.
Taking a moment, taking a breath, not rushing through the to-dos.
Yeah. Do you feel that ever since the apps, I mean, they've been popular for a long, long time, but I feel like people have just completely lost their social skills. They don't know how to behave with people. They don't know how to interact. They don't know how to make a real connection. Are we just like losing our social abilities because of these? Or are we just kind of so selfish and self-absorbed that we just don't know how to talk to people anymore?
Engage.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. Firstly, I surprisingly love the apps as something in addition. I like the idea of meeting people in the wild, meeting people naturally, because you get that feedback right away.
Yeah.
You get that vibe, that energy, that chemistry. Is it there or not? Are they who they say they are? You sort of feel that immediately. I know I definitely did with both you guys when I got here. So
Yeah.
that's something that's great. But with these dating apps, they introduce you to people that maybe you wouldn't have crossed paths with,
Right.
or if
Right.
you're busy or you're a single parent or even whatever it is you're going through, it allows you to meet other people. So it's great. But again, it comes back to intent, because if you're just using it and talking to them like as if you're not going to get a response back, or you're just
Yeah.
saying hey and it doesn't lead anywhere, you've
that's
had
the
your
worst.
match. I mean, we are just not the best at socializing and putting more effort in, because we're scared of what we'll lose by doing that, I think.
So we're scared of rejections. We don't even
For sure.
try. Yeah.
Or these days, I mean, it's really sad how so many people take screen grabs and share it with friends,
Yeah.
or use it as like, oh, I matched with this person too. It's become, I don't know why. I don't know if, I don't want to say it's an age range thing, but when you do that, sort of question yourself, why am I choosing to do this? Because I think people are scared to be truly open,
Right.
because they don't know where that conversation is going to go. And now we have, comedians making acts about, in the city of like people's Tinders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that would make anyone
That's a
hesitant
good point.
to be open.
I didn't think about that before. But how do you expect to really kind of connect with someone if you're not vulnerable? I think, and then it's always very superficial and top
Yeah.
line, and then I think a lot of people talk about ghosting and, or the opposite, where they love bomb you. It's like, hey, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, so.
Oh my God, I would I fall for those, and I'm like, and we're going to Italy next week and getting married, and oh my
I've had
God,
that.
I'm going to put a mood board together.
I totally had that once. This is
Get
a long
it.
time ago. And this guy was like, all of his photos were him on a helicopter and like him in a winery. And of course, you're young and you're like, oh, the lifestyle, right? And that's what he was DMing. I'm going to take you to the opera. We're going to go to
Oh my
Italy to my
gosh.
family's estate. It's
See,
like-
those would be red flags to me. I don't know
Oh
why.
yeah, totally. It wasn't for me at the time,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
admit. But we didn't go to Italy. But
Yeah.
it's just like
Shocker.
right?
Yeah. There's a Sex and the City episode where Sam Jones, she called him the we guy. Like, we are going to do this and we're
Yes.
going to do that. So now we know that with all this great language that we have, this therapy talk, thanks to social media and being able to share our stories way more openly now without judgment, I think we could prepare for those red flags. But how I want to just sort of answer what you said. You start with this, hey, and you said you need to be vulnerable to create connection, which is 100% absolutely right. What I like to do, and my biggest piece of advice would be to move that connection from in the phone to in real life.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. So if we matched and I'm thinking like, ooh, like I'm a little excited that we've paired together.
Yeah.
And I might even say, hey, are you around this afternoon? Like, I see that you also live in the West End. Like, do you want to grab a drink at Ace Hotel? They have a great happy hour. Like,
Yeah.
I not only ask and put myself out there, or at least I did when I was dating, but then I also make it very easy for them. Like a central place, a place that's like a moderate kind of price range, cool vibe where they could pop in and pop out.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that approach of almost like being almost intentional upfront about connecting, because you don't have this long drawn out, conversation through your devices. And then when you're sitting in front of each other, you have nothing else to talk about, or you've created this unrealistic expectation of who that person is. And I'm guilty of doing this. And then I
Right.
meet the person and I'm like, oh, I thought that you were this way. And your pictures look this, and because I've looked at them a million times. And then,
Yeah.
we're in person, and before the date even begins, I'm over it. So I
For
think,
sure.
yeah,
Right.
I think
So get
Yeah.
them out.
get them out.
Get them
so,
out.
okay, because I agree with you, because I was and I'll tell you a little story. I was on Portland Street last week, Saturday, in Jimmy's Coffee, and I was just doing some work. And this guy sat down next to me, and he was like complimenting me on something that I was wearing. And he was like, oh, is that from this particular season? And we ended up having this really great connection and conversation. And then I go back to checking my emails.
Dana,
And then I
that's your
walk up and I'm
sign.
like, Dana, you idiot.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just actually like continue to engage and maybe even take the next step? So I want to know, like, in this area, because I think the downtown West and this area that is King West District
My heart.
is a really great place to connect. And you talked about Ace Hotel.
Yes.
What are some great places that people can go to connect?
Okay, so I think this was like this day last year. I only know that because when I was coming to record with you, a friend was like, oh, you were on fire at so-and-so last year. And this person was in from out of town. It was a festival.
Yeah.
And we met and had an immediate connection. And I was like, do you want to get out of here at the opening party?
Oh.
And he said, yes. And then we got out of there. And we made plans for the next day. He was going to be flying out that evening. And I said, how about we go to the Ace Hotel for a breakfast? I thought that was such a great idea. It's casual. There's people working on their laptops. It's cool. It has that great vibe. It's so central in the city.
Yeah.
And they actually have breakfast every day of the week.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like exorbitant prices. It's pretty reasonable. And it's just a cool vibe with
It's
like
a nice-
sexy music. And you
Yeah.
can kind of dress up or dress down and blend in if you
Yeah.
want. And so I really liked that. And it was nice to show an out-of-towner like a space like that.
Yeah.
But I think that where you go when you first meet someone or you're meeting someone for the first time, something that's like a hotel where there's tons of people around
Yep.
and all that, that's a safe spot,
Right.
is very different than where I'd go for a first date.
Right.
Like, I don't count that maybe as the first date. Like, I
Right.
like the casualness of it.
Yeah.
And I like a meal, like a breakfast. Even
Less
getting
pressure.
together with, even if I'm taking myself out or getting together with a girlfriend, I these days prefer a breakfast than like a dinner, which seems so formal to me right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of pressure.
I love it keeping it casual and just going for a coffee. And then I usually bookend it with something that I have to do so that I can get out of there. But then it allows me to then say, okay, I've spent, an hour or an hour and a half talking to somebody. I've gotten a good read on them. And now I can move to the next level. But I love places like Ace Hotel. Like this area has so many lounges, right? One hotel and Ritz-Carlton.
Yes, Shangri-La,
Shangri-La,
the
one-
Shang.
yeah.
How many of my friends refer to it.
But even like spaces like Waterworks are popping up where you have these like really nice food halls that are more like loungy still and like there's no real commitment and they don't feel like you can't enter them, right? They're so approachable.
They're accessible, yeah.
I really love a hotel lobby, and there's so many here. There's Bisha. I don't know if we just
Yeah.
said Bisha. There's
Yeah.
so many in this area. And why I love it is because if there is a lull, it's great people watching.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
service I find pretty much at all the ones
Elevated.
we've spoken about is, elevated. It's great and you could get out of it easy. But if you want the day to last, there's other places within the hotel. Like if you're at Shangri-La and you're sitting at the lobby, not only do they have someone always playing the most delicious live
Yes.
music and you sit in the couches and there's the fireplace, which is even so soothing in the spring and summer, bizarrely. But you could also go out to the patio at Bosque or you could go up to the restaurant. Like there's flexibility. And my favorite dates are ones where you could move around. I don't want to challenge you. A lot of people would argue it's best to have an end time for a date. You have that coffee for the hour and 15 minutes, no more than 90 minutes, and you get on with your day. But I like those dates that linger.
Yeah.
Lapanu is a great place too. I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do the jazz on the weekends, but it's a little hidden oasis in the city. It's beautiful. It's very I feel like a mix of New Orleans, like
Yeah.
a New Orleans courtyard and slightly Parisian. There's something so sexy about it. And you could kind of linger there. And
Yeah.
then, if you want to go debrief with a girlfriend, you could like saunter a few streets away so you don't run into them and go to Nut Bar and get something super healthy and do like a debrief. And I think that that's important to like have this flexibility
Yeah.
and not be so in and out because the more open we are,
Right.
the more we're able to receive and less maybe judgy in the moment of like, okay, am I too much?
Yeah.
Am I spending too much time with them? They must have somewhere else to go. We're our own worst enemies.
Right.
Yes.
It's almost like a mindset shift because you're already rushing. You're already thinking of when the date's going to end.
Yes.
Because you don't want to, overstay your welcome or you don't want to kind of have that pressure. But
Yeah.
then maybe you're not, like you said, allowing yourself to be open to this awesome experience.
Can I argue something here? I'm getting a little bit of a read here. I feel like you may be playing it too cool.
Okay.
Like,
This is
not
Data
intentionally.
therapy.
No, I know. And I mean, it was so much love. Like, I
Yeah.
think, and I could only call that out
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm guilty of the same. It's like, I don't want to be a bother.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, I'm going to be so easy breezy.
Yeah.
And so when you're so easy breezy, when you got that compliment, like
Right.
that's cool. You don't want to be like, oh, want to go out with me? Like that's also like super
Right.
creepy, right? But at the same time, to leave a little bit of space
Yeah.
for possibility.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
this happens to me all the time now, and I realize that there is a rigidity to me where I'm either like focused on dating and it is like, okay, let's figure this out, or I'm playing it too cool. So how do I like sort of shift my energy and move more naturally? Like, what are things that I can actually like do to even put myself out there a little bit more in my day to day?
I think that in your day to day, you can be the initiator a bit, and then you'll realize I don't need anything back. But see if someone's sort of short and doesn't take the compliment, and how does that feel?
Yeah.
And just bear witness to it, so you could kind of be more mindful of maybe the impression that you might be putting off too.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever it is, like when you're at Jimmy's next and grabbing your whatever it is that you get there, striking up a conversation, even with the barista. Firstly, I love the Jimmy's baristas. Like,
Yes.
they're so funny and have so many stories to tell, and they are here for my entertainment. And
Yeah.
what a great way to create a rapport
Yeah.
and kind of like run things by them too, if that makes sense.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done my therapy, Lori. It's your turn. Let's talk about Lori.
one thing that Lori and I were chatting about off camera that is so trending right now, I'd love to dive into, is this whole movement of being single by choice.
Uh-huh.
We're in it together. Not together, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
each in our own
Singly.
And for those that may not know the expression,
Yeah. Tell us about it.
is this idea of just almost like choosing you,
Yeah.
choosing yourself. I've always been, and I'm a serial monogamous. I've always been in long-term serious relationships that sort of like back to back to back. And I decided about a year ago, I want to be single. I want to just focus on myself and get to know myself a bit better. I know how I am in relationships. I know what I like and I don't like, and I know what comes out and what doesn't come out. But I never really taken time to like romance myself. And by that,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I've gone to cafes alone. I've gone to bars alone. I've traveled alone. I've done these things or hit certain milestones, but I've shared those with other people. You go home to someone and share that.
Right.
And the single by choice is this idea of feeling strong enough and not dating because you have a need, but because it's a want, it's a
Right.
Right.
bonus. And this comes, I'm 40 now, so for me, I'm not saying that you should be single by choice ever or at any age, but when I was younger, I loved dating. It was so key and elemental in getting to know myself in that way. But now, I feel like I'm at a different stage in life, and I kind of want to savor everything I have without energies from the outside.
Right.
And so, what's really big for me is going on solo dates, whether it's with my dog, Gary. So it's still a solo date.
Shout out to Gary. Gary's in studio
Gary.
today
Gary
too.
is-
Gary's right here sleeping next
He
to my
is.
feet.
He's
He's
such
sweet.
a sweetheart. And
So
whether it's going to a dog park, so I'm still getting out of the house. I'm not being
Right.
I'm not being
You're not-
isolating. I'm going
yeah.
out. I'm socializing, but I'm not looking for a partner. And
Right.
there's something very fulfilling, at least at the
Yeah.
moment, that comes from that. I'm not saying I'm closed off. I meet people because I'm not looking. I feel like I meet people out all the time
Mhm.
because people don't really understand, why are you sitting alone, having a drink or sitting with a book or at this cafe, or
Yeah.
what are you reading? I have my notebook. What are you writing?
Yeah.
And at the dog park, I just think it's such a beautiful place to
It's a
meet
breeding
people.
ground.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's and just to meet people. There's that dog park right outside of Waterworks.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, St. Andrew's Playground. Yes.
bustling.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
So many dogs.
So many dogs,
Yeah.
so many men, so many people, and even just people to talk that are also single by choice,
Yeah.
that are going through like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I heard your relationship segment. Da, da, da. Oh, are you single? And then I get to talking, and then I also realize there's a lot of people who just are choosing themselves at this moment.
Right.
And I love that. I honor it. I just say, if you are in that phase of life, it can be isolating, so do go out. Like, I love to do my Peloton. I have Peloton at home. I have the Peloton app. But for me, it's important to like get out and do Pilates classes because, again, as I said at the beginning of this, proximity is like
Right.
a number one factor outside of vulnerability after that, of connecting with people. And so if you go to a studio
Yeah.
that you love,
Yeah.
that brings up joy, and you go time and time again, you're going to create a whole community for yourself of like-minded people.
You will naturally meet people. And it might not be the guy beside you on the reformer, but it might be the girls beside you, her brother, it's always who you meet. It's that community that you're building.
Yeah.
And you're just putting yourself in situations that you like, that activity, that's you're like-minded.
Yeah. And even not to meet anyone, but just to still have those social skills, to still get out there, to have a sense of routine, to have a sense of purpose, accomplishment, challenge every day. There's, some amazing studios where you could go that are group studios and go on the reformer, and they're challenging and sweaty and all the things.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for oneself to feel all those things, and it helps build that confidence to be the best person for yourself.
Yeah.
Eventually, if and when someone comes around, you then put that into their life. You attract that with your magnetism. But also, if you don't meet someone, that's okay too, because you've created this beautiful routine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like that time, I'm in my single by choice era too, so I love that.
You are.
I feel that's when you're getting to know yourself, but that's when you're building your confidence. That's when you're discovering the activities that you like. I recently took up reformer Pilates. I love it now. I go every Sunday.
Wow.
And you're discovering new things that you like to do. You discover, you're exploring. You're out in the city more because you have time, and you're having fun. And I think that's the most important thing. And then, it'll almost naturally happen that way, because your mindset is, there's no pressure. You're not seeking it.
Yeah.
You're not chasing it. It's just kind of, you're just chill, and then it kind of would naturally come to you. I do want to ask you your opinion. So on social, you see a lot of these memes now. I don't know, Dana, if you're getting fed these in your algorithm, but I'm getting them where men are almost, calling women out who are in their single by choice era.
Oh.
And they're basically making fun of all of our kind of peace routine and all of these things that we like to do for ourselves. And they're basically realizing that, they're not in competition with other men or other suitors or other partners, but they're in competition with your peace as a woman.
Yeah,
and this is
it's
from
so funny.
My perspective. But yeah. And what do you think about that?
I think it's true. And it's kind of cute if we're referring to, there's a video going around, and I just thought it was so relatable. I sent it to so many of my girlfriends. I think it's true. I also think if you're putting out that you're single by choice and sharing that and creating content around that, we have to expect to get some backlash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything you put online, you're going to get the backlash. It is likely almost 100% not personal. And so we just need to be aware and stay strong to the decisions that we choose to make that are best for us. And I think that the more we share our stories, especially the taboo ones, the more we open the door for other people to share theirs and to feel less alone. And there's something really beautiful about that. I mean, community, we learned post-pandemic. We know through the numbers of loneliness all across Canada how important community is. So getting out every day, I don't mean to throw my dad under the bus here, but when I'm obsessed with getting my matcha lattes.
Okay.
And they're super expensive, and they bring me so much joy that I stopped for one in an Uber ride recently going down to an early morning segment, and my driver looked up at me and he said something along the lines of I wish anything in my life gave me as much joy as that latte seems to be giving you. Because I was like, and I'm so happy I added that stop and thank you. And I'm like, oh, I'm just better now. And he was like, what, who, it brought me so much joy. So I think that, if going out and getting yourself out, yes, it costs money. Yes, you can make a tea for basically free at home and boil your hot water and you're fine. But there's something to be said, especially, in Toronto, in the spring, in the summertime, I mean, all year round, of getting out of the house and getting in the routine and spending that money if it is within your price range. I'm not telling people to go, broke by doing this, but it is so important and will give you so much. You're not paying for that, $9 matcha latte. You are paying for the comfort of strangers, potential compliments or ability to compliment others, a sense of community, supporting local businesses. There's so much more going into it that could bring joy. And you never know what a day is going to bring. I mean, I've watched all the rom-coms and have read all the romantic books. And one of my favorite things is asking people how they met.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Whether
love
it's friends
that.
or romantic partners, it's the craziest stories that you could never predict. And I think that if you don't get out of the house,
Yeah.
because whether you're single by choice or not, if you're staying in, you're not
not
going to
gonna
be
meet
open to the
anybody. No.
possibilities. And the more you go to the same place over and over again, the more whatever that place is that brings you joy,
Right.
the more opportunity you could meet
Right.
like-minded people, or someone who knows someone that eventually could lead to something.
Yeah.
So so what you're not, when you say single by choice, you're not closing yourself off from the possibilities. You are focusing on yourself, making yourself a priority, going out, being open to the idea of connection. And so if a possible suitor comes along, what do you do with that? Are you sort of open to
I'm
how
getting my matcha. Leave me alone.
I always think it's so important to read a room and pick up on people's language. If someone's trying to wrap a conversation or they told you, all right, well, I'm running out now, be respectful. A woman shouldn't have to say, leave me alone.
Right.
I think that we could all do better just in general with really respecting people's boundaries.
Yeah.
But sure, if you're out, just being more open to it. So if I were to meet someone, and I'm reading a book and I'm sitting, say, at the Ace Hotel bar for the first thing that came to mind,
Yeah.
I may say, oh, have you read anything lately? Pull up a seat. And then you could sort of have an exchange there.
Yeah.
I prefer something like that in the moment. And if we choose to speak again, we do. And there's no pressure if we don't. It's almost like a date on the spot, but we're not calling it that. So
Right.
it comes with a more of a sense of ease.
That's great.
Yeah. You don't want to make anyone ever feel uncomfortable. And
Right.
you don't want to feel trapped anywhere as well. And that's why my favorite spots in the city, when I leave the house and I'm not at the dog park with Gary,
Yeah.
are usually a hotel lobby. I love to sit with a beautiful pot of tea.
Yeah.
I love the people watching. I love the service. And I just think that there's such variety in the city dependent on your mood that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if you go up to Bisha Hotel upstairs, there's Coast, the restaurant.
Yeah.
In the summer, it's beautiful. You see the CN Tower. It's sunny out. It's bustling. It kind of feels a little like South Beach, Miami vibes.
Well, one hotel, like on the rooftop, Harriet's, is another really great spot. And these places have like live music, live DJs, and then they have like a crowd. And it seems like the upcoming generation, Gen Z, is really into sort of being out and social and intentional about actually like chatting a bit more.
Yeah.
So and I think summertime's such a great time for this, right? Because then there's all sorts of, Lori, you take part in a bunch of wellness stuff in the area. But
I'm trying to get Dana to come with me to Othership, but
I
he
know.
hasn't tried it yet.
Well, it's that freezing tub thing, and I'm not interested. But there's midnight runners in the area and a ton of different options. This is really a wellness hub. But
it is like when
yeah.
I knew I was coming to, like, because I used to live in this area, and when I knew that I was coming to record, I'm like, oh my God, do I get my nut bar before? Do I get it after? And I'm like, last night, like so excited and craving it and then that whole strip is wellness. I love Trove. Have you ever been to Trove?
We haven't been there yet.
It is remarkable. I think you're a Gemini, you have a birthday. Well, we all have birthdays. That was a weird thing to say.
Coming up.
And that's another thing to do on a date. Like if you say something that you're like, wait, why did I say that? Say that out loud. Like people like the authenticity.
Yeah.
I love that.
Anyways, we all have birthdays. That's you quote me on that one. But Trove is such a beautiful spiritual space. It is pricey, but it's worth the price for a reason. You could do healing sessions, sound baths. There's so many different things, and it's like a sanctuary. I love places that feel sort of like a sanctuary, or like that you stumbled upon this hidden gem, and you could really treat yourself to something that that's really hard to find in Toronto.
Yeah,
Right.
and you would normally do that on a day-to-day. I think that's a great idea to talk about some of the other kinds of activities that you can do. It doesn't have to go for dinner. You don't have to go for, let's go for a cocktail or let's go for dinner. There's so many things that can become a date or a hang or just a get to know you kind of thing.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, just even thinking about 401 Richmond and like the art galleries that are there. I sign up for their newsletter, and sometimes just going to a free art gallery event and chatting with people who are into that space. And then you mentioned festivals earlier. Like Toronto is like the city of festivals. There's Inside Out coming up. There's TIFF that's in September. And even if you're not actually attending the festival, there's just something so and also we just have a lot of street festivals too, like in the city. That's just
I
great
love that.
Yeah, because
Sorry, I love the street festivals because it's that energy. It's like
yes,
there's something in the air. You
Mm-hmm.
just want to be around it. Even as a tourist, I'd want to be around it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
fascinating.
really great.
Can you talk a little bit more about energy? Because I do think that you're onto something with the single era, because it almost puts you out of the state of mind of forcing a connection and actually just allowing for that natural energy to like arise.
Yeah, I just feel like I've been so disappointed in some past relationships. And I've been disappointed in myself in some past relationships too. I think that, I've overstayed my welcome to be like the
Mm.
nice girl or like
Mm.
the hope to fix someone. And that wasn't really serving me. And I
We
sort
all
of
just
became a bit of a shell of myself. Like, how can I be giving advice to so many people and not taking it myself? And that's what made me take a step back.
Mm.
And this year has been, I've never felt more grounded. I didn't want anything out of it other than to come home to myself, as like woo woo as that may sound. And I truly feel here
Mm-hmm.
and I feel more aligned with the decisions I make.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I'm ready to date again, the type I would date would likely be completely different because I have a different vibe I'm putting out and I'm craving.
Yeah.
I like being intentional. Health and wellness is super important to me. I love to read. I love to spend time with my dog. These are things important to me. So, what I would say to people watching, to people listening, is do things that are important to you
Mm-hmm.
and see who comes into your life then.
Yeah.
Because when you're seeking it, I mean, how many girls' nights, I don't know if you had, where it's like, oh, let's go to laissez-faire and like find a guy, or like, I don't know, let's go to this thing and find a husband, or like I have friends that do that and I don't spend much time with them anymore because I just want to be and enjoy a moment.
Yeah.
And if something comes of it, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's great too. But at least I'm not wasting my time doing things that I don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Jen, you were telling me when we chatted earlier that people want to be so intentional that they're looking for, there's a new trend for looking for itineraries for going on
Yeah.
dates. Like they want to have it spelled out for them.
Absolutely. So a big thing is itineraries on social media. So that's something like, when you wake up, drink your warm lemon water, then do your Pilates class, take your shower, XYZ, and it goes through what a day looks like. And I think that a lot of us want to know how to date. So if I were to put a little itinerary together, it would be to have your warm lemon water, do whatever, whether it's taking the dog out for a walk, something where you're a bit active, because it's so easy to get trapped in our own head, our mind, our own scrolling of social media,
Yeah.
comparing, and just get yourself out. And going for you to your Jimmy's, for me getting my matcha latte, I think doing that out of the house,
Yeah.
and just having that routine, even if you just go back in after that, at least you've gone out and maybe you see a few people, because once you've gone out and gotten yourself dressed up, you feel a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to what to do for a date, I mean, people can come to my social media. I'm always sharing different stuff, or people could DM me, and I'm happy. I wish we had way more time than we do. I could chat with you guys
Yes.
forever. But getting out of your comfort zone and being open to things that aren't datey. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love something that's more kitschy. I don't know what's still around, but right across from Tiff, that like strip that has Hey Lucy.
Yes,
Yeah.
on King.
Restaurant
I
row.
love, firstly, the prices are great. The vibe, it's kitschy. It's been there forever. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do like the workers there have stories? It's a vibe. There's so many tourists. You're almost like in New York. Like you could go in and out. You could
Yeah.
have a date there where there's no pressure. I'm sort of over these like overdone,
Yeah.
get all dolled up. If we can make it more part of our day-to-day routine and go into it, I think we're golden there, and then there's nothing to lose.
For sure. Do you think people have too high expectations? I've heard this trend, especially I'm going to call it the Gen Zs, where they think that the partner has to take them on these elaborate vacations for, your first date. Like that
Yeah.
just blows my mind. But you're seeing this all over social.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has what it is that they're looking for. I think the more we dive into social media, we think that that's happening everywhere. And so maybe we're not feeling loved or cared for in the right way because why is so-and-so, a friend of ours, being flown everywhere and doing all these amazing things with their partner, and we're splitting the bill 50-50 at a local restaurant. And so, I mean, date within the bracket that you feel comfortable with. I don't want to comment necessarily on other people's choices.
Right.
But I would argue that the power dynamic changes when someone is paying for all of that. There's an unspoken power dynamic shift. And unfortunately, I've seen time and time again over at least the past 15 years of doing this as a relationship expert and coach, and columnist, it doesn't end very well because you feel stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can't really speak up. And it's really unfortunate and it can be scary. So as beautiful as those trips look, if it doesn't come with a cost, just be a little mindful of other ways that you may be paying for it.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on going Dutch on a bill, or how do you, especially for a first date, what's your advice?
I like to be treated. I don't know. It's
Dana,
such
you
I like
smiled
to
too.
treat.
okay.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
I
What
don't
do you
know.
like?
I don't know.
I don't-
It would be nice. It would be nice to be treated for the first date.
I don't
I
have
think.
any expectations. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not going on a date.
No.
I did this in my 20s. I'll never go on a date without ordering things that are in my budget that I'm happy and content to pay with. I
Right.
don't want a surprise. So I don't expect it.
That's right.
You could never expect anymore. So much has changed.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of times, at least like in heterosexual relationships, some men that I've dated feel like it's insulting to offer because I'm a working woman. So
Yeah.
we can't write off people like we used to
Right.
for being cheap or whatever the case is. I like it. My dad's so traditional. He's of a certain generation. That's how I was raised. He also has made comments over the years when I am dating, like, what do you mean you split the bill or you got the bill? And I'm like, I don't know. He went to the washroom. I didn't want it to be weird, so I got the bill.
Right.
And my dad's like, that's just like as if it was horrifying to
Yeah.
him. Like, you're not my daughter anymore. So, I like it. I like the gesture. I know it's a bit old school.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to ask, but I hate that bill sitting there.
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward. And if you are going to treat, don't say, you could get the next one, or like, let's go for a coffee after. Just
Right.
treat. Just treat and like let it go from there.
Yeah.
Well, I think even though when you think of like the many ways, like you said, going to a dog park, or even choosing purposely the first few dates, like movies in the park or pups in the park, or these sort of free events that happen in the area every summer, it really gives you an opportunity to maybe warm up to that person. And then maybe you get to a point where you perhaps have an honest conversation about dating. Because I just feel like Toronto's a great place to find many different options where maybe that's not the first conversation you need to be having.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have it, but just feel that energy when it's there. And if it's awkward, feel free to be like, well, this is awkward. Like, let's sort of own our situations.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes us more human if we could say something. Easier said than done. I could say it with you guys because I feel comfortable with you right now. But, if we were to all go out after, I may be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm covering this one. Like, we are who we are too. So don't be so hard on yourself. And we always learn from our experiences, the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jen, you've been an expert in this for many, many years. What would you say as your advice to people who are quick to judge others, or who only get into situationships, or who kind of blame the other person for why it didn't work out? Is there any kind of like inner work there that people might need to be reflective upon?
Yeah, you have to want to change. I mean, I think therapy is remarkable. I think that if you notice your friends stop really answering your calls or spending time with you, maybe be a bit more mindful. Like, am I always talking about this person that we've been broken up with? Am I asking them about themselves? Just take everything, I would say, as data.
Right.
Are people backing off from you? Are friends hesitant? Are people not inviting you to things because someone else maybe you once dated is going to be there?
Yeah.
Just be a bit mindful, because even when friends tell you, move on, or this person's seeing other people, or even give you proof, we are so quick to banish the friend and then hold on even tighter to the partner, almost to prove something to ourselves. And it's I was going to use this Woody Allen quote, like, why ruin a good story with the truth? But like, it's really important to be mindful of the situation you're in. And if you feel like you're being strung along and you're constantly like asking your chat GPT and your friends and you're not going to therapy and your
Are you
family,
in my phone, Jen?
yeah, and your family doesn't want them around, like when they have family functions, these are all really clear signs that this person's likely not for you. But it takes time. And we also could be a little more graceful with our friends that are going through hard times and don't see it, because
Yes.
we don't know how toxic relationships are. It is so beautiful
Yeah.
how open people are starting to become.
Yeah.
But the narcissism thing is super real. And even the most brilliant of people get trapped in that and really doubt themselves and think that this is it. And so we could be slightly more graceful with our friends
Right.
too. But when it's becoming a bit much, what I have done with friends is I've suggested, are you open to therapy? It has saved me. I've done group therapy. I've done, one-on-one therapy. And then I'll actually suggest, if you're open to it, I'm happy to look for some therapists. Like, do you have a budget for it? Do you want a free one like that's covered by OHIP? I'm happy to do the work for you, but let's get you there. I've also had a friend who did a bunch of therapy and was struggling. And I suggested, would you be open to medication, and shared with her, my experience of being on medication for 14 years and what that could do. And just being really resourceful for people that don't seem to be, before you take a step back.
Right.
Because there's going to be a day where you may need that grace too. And you want to feel proud of, what you've done and put out for others.
And I think even beyond the like other alternatives to therapy, when I think about like social media has become a really great outlet. A lot of people complain about it. There's a lot of things that are unrealistic or things you shouldn't be doing on social media. But I find that social media, if you're signing up for the right channels, and this goes back to, I have great circles of friends. So they like have put me on to some really great channels and influencers to be able to sort of supplement what I'm learning in therapy.
Yeah.
But podcasting even, right? Like I think there's so many great podcasts out there that talk about relationship and dating and finding connection. So
Yeah.
What's your best advice for getting over a breakup?
Oh, man. My best advice for getting over a breakup would probably be to stop putting yourself in situations where you could just carry it on. I think a lot of breakups linger. It is so rare to hear of a clean break these days. So whether it's, removing them even for now from social media, or not going to the same places you always go, but it's in my area, but I went there first. That doesn't matter.
yeah.
Remove yourself from the situation is the best way you could take care of yourself. Because until you stop talking to that person and you remove yourself, and I'm not even just saying for a week, like I'm saying at least, I would say like even like 3 months, you'll start to see the flaws a lot quicker. But when you're in it, you can't really see it.
Yeah.
Right.
And allow yourself that distance. It's such a beautiful gift you could give yourself. You want to often, especially if you were the one dumped or you were blindsided, you want to make it work, and you're going to try anything, and you're going to like, oh, I happen to be in the area and all that stuff
Yeah.
we've all probably done before. But it's just delaying
Yeah.
possibly the inevitable. They
Yeah.
made the choice. So sort of the sooner you could accept that, the better, and then do what makes you feel good while you're going through that acceptance. So for myself, my last breakup, it was hopping on the Peloton and doing classes. And then I grew so much with my physical growth in the classes, but also the inspiration of varieties of music, varieties of teacher, the motivational speaking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this was a relationship I chose to leave, but I still had that, you're missing someone. It's grief. It's a loss, someone you spent all your time with and
Yeah.
that you thought at one point would be your forever. So
Right.
it's very human to go through that, but the best thing you could do is create a distance.
Yeah. Even if it's you doing the breaking up, it's
Yeah.
still hard on that person too. I think when you think, oh, this is going to be the person, and then you realize, oh, they're really not, or they're just not capable, or wow, they're a narcissist. You know? It's like, I'm going to run away now.
Yeah. Protect yourself, protect your peace.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Protect your peace.
Jen, you have a show, Date Night with Jen on.
Yeah, so I'm on with Shane Hewitt. So he has a show weeknights on NewsTalk 1010, and he has me on Friday nights at 9, just after the news. So it's like 9:05, and every week we do a different dating and relationship segment, and we talk about everything. In fact, we just chatted about what you and I did about the memes of, guys being like, we're not competing against other men now. We're just competing against a woman and her piece. So it's funny, but we also get into the real like nitty gritty of stuff and are really open. And it's just, Shane Hewitt is just such an amazing broadcaster and really brings out great questions. Like just when I thought I've exhausted all things dating and relationships, we just go deeper and deeper each week.
What are some of the top questions, or when people are calling in or asking for advice? What are the main burning questions that Torontonians have for you?
So for this particular show, people don't call in, but I do get calls in a lot when I go on CBC. But the number one question I'm asked and have been asked has been consistent over the years. It's, where do I meet someone?
Yeah.
My answer to the question, where do I meet someone, is anywhere that you go.
Mm-hmm.
So just go where you feel comfortable. It could be just the grocery store, it could be your classes, it could be the coffee shop. But if you're sitting at home, even with dating apps, you're not going to meet people because you're not going to have the social skills to use on the dating apps to be able to read a situation properly if you're not out communicating with other people.
Right.
So you're going to send that hey on the dating app. And maybe because you're starved for connection, you're going to be oversharing.
Yeah.
And then the relationship ended it before it began because it's too much too soon.
Yeah. Right.
So where are you going to meet people? Just out. There's not going to be that magical one answer. People meet others at the craziest places. There's so many people who have met on flights. I mean, we have Union Station. There's the CN Tower. There's so many places that you could go, things you could do. It's just getting out because one day there'll be an opportunity. You could go. My dad's single and looking, and he was like, where do we go? I'm like, I don't know. I love going to a hotel lobby. I love treating myself to like a nice brunch or a nice breakfast and just sitting around with a book and a tea. And so he went one day, it was a Sunday, and he went for breakfast there. And then he told me after that he didn't meet anyone. Oh. And why would I tell him? I was like, I didn't say you would meet someone, but that's a place you could go. And he's like, everyone was there in groups and having their teas. It was all women though.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you went on a Sunday. That's like a day of like, you're not going to necessarily, there's not going to be people sitting solo necessarily. They book out the tables at this location.
Yeah.
But I was happy that, he got out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good for him.
Yeah, I think getting into the habit of getting out is the first step. And then once you're sort of in that rhythm, it will probably come to you even more naturally. And I think that's incredibly important for people like myself who I think I was extroverted, but the pandemic has really changed me to being more introverted. And I think that's true for a lot of people. So even thinking about like introverts and what they can do, like what do you suggest for those people who are like, socially awkward in general? I love that you were saying embrace your awkward, and that will actually get someone connected to you in a more natural way. What do you suggest someone who's more introverted? What do you suggest they do?
I think you go somewhere that feels like home to you, where you feel comfortable. You've described me that I would always be out and about pre-pandemic, and now I'm so conscious and aware of how I spend my energy and where I go. And a girlfriend wanted, you're going to be in the city. She wanted to meet for lunch today. She works in the financial district. And I actually said to her, I go, there's nowhere there that I really feel comfortable going. Like I just, the energy, everything, it just doesn't feel me. And I know because of both of our timings with what we have on the go today, I doubt you'll be able to come out to this area. So why don't we plan a date for, even though it's going to be another few weeks that we see each other, why don't we see each other in a couple weeks from now where we could go to one of our like at home type spots?
Right.
So I think anywhere that feels like home to you. I keep referring to Jimmy's because you mentioned it once.
Yeah.
But, like a Jimmy's where you're just sitting and you're out, at least you're out and not wearing your headset.
Yeah.
And that's just step one for you. You're not going to like suddenly be like extrovert and like everyone's going to be around your table laughing, ha ha ha, and like send another coffee to him, But you're going to
That's
go
the
and you just
dream.
go, right? You're just going to go through the motions of just going somewhere where you feel comfortable. And if you don't feel comfortable, there's a reason why.
You have to
Yeah.
listen
So
to your
like
intuition.
listen to that.
Mhm.
Like there's some music venues in this area that I just adore.
Yeah.
And I love to go in them, but then certain times of nights they may see like depending on who's playing, they may be a little more seedy, or other nights they may be
Yeah.
like a little more like rock and roll or more
Yeah.
cowboy, and there's certain vibes that I'm into, and other times where I'd never go in. So it's just trusting
Yeah.
that as an introvert, like it's okay to go out
Yeah.
and you could leave at your leisure, but go somewhere where it's not going to drain you further. Because the last time I did not listen to that intuition went out, I don't think I left the house for a week after, other than straight to the dog park and home, because
Scarred you.
you get
Yeah.
drained as an introvert.
Yeah.
And so I really want you to honor that for yourself.
So what if your comfort place is being at home? What would you do?
Okay, so I would argue, I think everyone's comfort place like is at home.
Yeah.
But
Get
you
off your couch, Dana.
You have a comfort place. It
Yeah.
could be maybe it's where you used to get like go for a drink in university,
Yeah.
or like I don't know, because I have like a few places in Toronto that are sort of my spots that I feel like I've come
Yeah.
home to myself in, or
Right.
that feel like home. I could recognize the servers in context, at least. Like I could recognize them, or I know their
Yeah.
names or something like that. So if your comfort spot is home and you have zero other comfort spots, find somewhere right near your home that has always piqued your interest, that you've walked by time and time again. Maybe you've taken a picture of a sign outside on your phone, or a window display, or you've seen a certain drink that they're serving, and you want to go in and just
Yeah.
go in once and go in by yourself with nothing else on your mind other than I'm just going to go in.
Yeah.
And it's not to get anything. You may walk in and walk out, but go in and see how you feel. And if you like it there, just stay.
Good.
Awesome.
And then if that was all right and you don't feel drained once you get home or later in the week, try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then create that home for yourself. I love that you said, Lori, that you have this ritual of every Sunday you treat yourself to a reformer class. Reformer classes are not cheap. They're very good for you, and it's something you could look forward to.
Yeah.
It makes your Sundays sacred.
Totally.
I would argue that place has now become a sanctuary.
Yeah.
So if you're introverted
Mm-hmm.
and you want to stay home, create a sanctuary outside of your home.
Yeah.
That's great.
And is there a way perhaps for the introvert to maybe use their devices or apps to be able to sort of get us off the couch and out of our space of comfort?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because it really resonates when you're in that phase and you don't want to.
Yeah.
Moving your body is just, it changes everything. So I'm not going to say like do 10 jumping jacks, but it would change your state.
Mhm.
Opening a window, even if it's like freezing cold or something, or if it's burning hot and the sun is shining down, and just taking that moment, that will shift your energy a bit. I love a great playlist. I made one to come see you guys today.
Love it.
And every day, almost like every hour, my vibe of what I'm seeking changes. Like sometimes I may want more funk. I may want like go girl, confident woman vibes. I may want like sexy, like Wicked Games style music, like make a playlist that energizes you.
Yeah.
Sort of, I think of like the Blue Jays and how they have their up to bat songs.
Yeah.
So like, what is your one song that gets you energized? And when you play that song, you associate that with, I'm going to now get my ball cap, or I'm going to grab my keys and my phone, and I'm going to get out of the house.
Yeah.
There are apps. There's like the Calm app. There's listening to your favorite podcast. I'm a big Mel Robbins girly.
We are too.
Shay
Same,
Shetty.
same.
I'm going to
Yes.
both.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Remarkable.
I'm excited.
Jealous.
So listening to other people talk about how you should be getting out of your seat
Yeah.
and getting out of the house and doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1
Yeah.
and high-fiving yourself
Up
in
and
the
out,
mirror.
yeah.
All these things are beneficial. So we become what we do and what we listen to.
Yes.
So I would do that. I mean, again, you're not going to get up and do jumping jacks, but I've done like these 5-minute Peloton classes, and even the 5 minutes alone shift my energy. 5 minutes of a meditation, you're like, I could take on the world. Like I'm this wise person now.
Yeah.
And then you go out.
Yeah, that's great. On the topic of like listening to podcasts, because even with the Mel Robbins and the Let Them Theory book, like I was saying to Lori, like I was in the Bahamas last month, and I was reading it, and everywhere I went, everyone was, oh my God, that's like, even when I was on the flight, like the couple sitting next to me were talking to me. And just because they saw the cover of the book, I actually had to just start reading the book at home.
So
in
you
my
could
comfort
actually
zone.
read it?
Yeah. It was like,
I kept messaging him. I'm like, are you done yet? Are
Yeah.
you done yet?
No, you need to get the book for yourself so you could make like notes in it.
Yeah.
I know.
And tabbies.
I have to go back and highlight
But
it
yeah.
again.
yeah. Well, no, but I was sitting in the coffee shop, like another coffee shop in the area reading it. And the same thing started to happen. So I'm like, maybe I need to actually take books and actually get off my couch and read it in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And making those steps. I love that you do that on the Sunday, because I go to my home gym, and there's a gym in the area that I have literally spoken to them. They have emailed me, and I know that I've been putting off signing up on it. And Lori's been trying to get me to some of these really great spots. And I'm just not doing it because I'm just comfortable. But this is a challenge for me. Perhaps I'm in my single era.
Perhaps.
To
yeah. Get out there.
Yeah, get out there and to really challenge myself to do something differently.
Yeah, carrying a book with you changes things. It's the same thing as like carrying a yoga mat. Like people start to ask you questions, and it opens opportunity.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And we always ask, how could we be approachable, or why do people not come up to me? Because you have a headset in, or you're looking at your phone, or
right.
you're rushed and you're getting your coffee to and from places, and
Yeah.
you're doing your to-do list. Like walking around with a book is intentional, and then people could talk about it. And even if you're just using it as a prop, I'm A-okay with that. But it's also nice to have a book as company while you are
Yes.
out, especially if you're out alone, because solo dates are huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, we're going to ask you one more question, then we're going to jump into some quick bites, some
Absolutely.
rapid fire. So for those watching and listening at home, what would you say as your parting message of hope for people wanting to date in Toronto?
Toronto is such a huge city with so much opportunity and so many people, if you let it be.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself out there.
Yeah.
Stop judging people or using one bad date or bad experience or experiences you heard about to write off a whole group of people or dating altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And put yourself out there. If you're looking for love, it exists out there, and there's so many wonderful places to find it.
Awesome. Good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do some quick bites.
Yeah.
So we're table 6, so there'll be 6 questions. So this is rapid fire style. So just first thing that comes to your mind. We're paying homage here to our district here. So, okay, first one. Where is the best first date spot?
Best first date spot. I can't do rapid fire. I'm like, there's so many coming to mind. I think if you're not meeting out, the best first date spot, if you want it to be an investment and like have a future, is anything Charles Caboth owns. Like any of the Inc. properties, there's so many.
Yes.
If you just, I don't even want to specify because each one has a different vibe. Like Animal just opened, but then there's Coast at Bisha.
Yeah.
I think like it's just an elevated experience if you're serious about dating and not hooking up.
Okay, got it. Best dog park to meet someone.
Oh, outside of Waterworks. It's the best. It's bustling all the time.
St. Andrew's Playground. Yeah.
You got it.
Best budget-friendly or free date experience.
Ooh, I would say like anything that goes on at Stack Market or the movies or the festivals, but you have to keep on checking out, like going to the website and checking out what's available in the area because there's so much on offer.
Yeah, for sure. Doesn't have to be expensive, right? I think that's a message.
No, I mean, and I'd also say like always, like just grabbing something like at Nut Bar or like a cute cafe and then going for the walk is zero pressure at all.
Yeah.
And then you could pop in somewhere else if it goes well.
Totally. Favorite, you've kind of talked about this already, but favorite hotel lobby bar.
Oh my God. I have to go with the Shang.
Okay.
Yeah. Shangri-La.
Shang for the
Shangri-La, number one. And they have mocktails, like amazing. Like you could get like sparkling wine or drinks and stuff. And I know that so many people are choosing to not drink right now.
Right.
And
Yeah.
are sober curious. And they have a really wonderful beverage list of non-alcoholic drinks.
Awesome. Best place for an introverted person to meet someone.
There you go.
Wherever you're going to just get out of the house and go over and over again.
Okay. And lastly, what is your favorite spot for health foodies to meet in the area?
Nut Bar.
Awesome.
The
Well
best.
done. Well done. So Jen, we are Table 6, and our whole, ethos here is to reinvigorate people to fall back in love and rediscover all that Toronto has to offer. So we like to ask all of our guests before they go, what is your love letter to Toronto? So if you were to write a love letter to Toronto, what would you say?
Thank you for opening your home to me to find myself within.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Well, thanks, Jen, for coming.
Thank you. This
has
We
been
really
loved it.
good.
Yeah. Such a great conversation.
Thanks so much, guys.
We hope people feel inspired to get off their couch.
I certainly do.
And I just want to add for the introverts, a big amazing thing that you can do if budget and time allows is adopt a dog. Adopting
great
Gary.
idea.
Oh my
There's so
gosh,
many
great idea.
remarkable places in
Yeah.
Toronto. I love Healing Hands for a Helping Paws. They're an amazing organization. They bring in tons of dogs from Texas of all shapes, sizes, types, personalities. They're so thorough with matching you to the right dog and meeting them first. But there's so many different places, and Gary has changed my life. He was on the streets of Texas for many years, and he's a survivor, and he is, allowed me to get out of my comfort zone. He's allowed me
Yeah.
to discover new spots within the city.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to explore it. And I also just want to thank the many places, not enough, but the many places in Toronto that allow dogs to
Dog
come
friendly.
in and that are dog friendly, because it's just, it adds so much joy to so many people's lives.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and as an introvert, that could get you out of, your shell too.
Yeah. Okay, Gary, I'm gonna get
Maybe
One of you.
a pooch is in your
pooch.
Maybe
future.
eventually.
Yeah, that's
we,
great.
We often think like, oh, I don't have the time, or it doesn't fit with my lifestyle. And then your lifestyle changes because you're so in love. You're like,
Yeah.
It's almost like when you get into a relationship.
Well, there you go. Great advice.
Awesome. But you don't have to pick up his socks. So
No,
that helps.
no, I don't have to. I wish he had a cute little sock.
Well, thanks, Jen. That was a
Thanks,
lot of fun.
Jen.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Table 6. A huge thanks to Jen Kirsch for joining us and sharing her inside honesty and humor on all things dating in Toronto. If today's convo got you thinking, maybe I should get off the couch, good news, we've got some amazing events happening right here in the district this summer. From movies in the park to pups in the park to our big wellness event, there are plenty of chances to show up, connect, and who knows, maybe meet someone special where you least expect it. Be sure to follow Table 6 wherever you get your podcasts and check out TO_Downtown West on Instagram to stay in the loop. Thanks for pulling up a chair, and we'll see you next time on Table 6.